What cheer, y'all? Well, I was going to hold off a little bit on Built, but I think we're so close to the finish in the Derby draw. I think we might as well just cover it and just assume that Built is going to run. He's the last of our Derby contender profiles. He's owned by Eclipse Thoroughbred Partners, and I think that may be the reason he's running, because journalism, they have a part ownership in as well, and this keeps Baeza from getting in the race. It seems like perhaps this might be the motivation behind it. They had been very iffy about putting this horse in the race, and I don't think that would be a surprise to many of us given what he's been doing as in Louisiana as the distances have been getting longer. You see, he did finish third in the Risen Star and second in the LeCompte, and that sort of tells the tale right there after running a really subpar Louisiana Derby at a mile and 3/16. We'll take a look at the pedigree, and you see he's been Hardspun, my favorite horse of all time, and many of you know. And Hardspun was a horse who outran his pedigree to many degrees, because Danzig was more like a mile and an eighth, but Hardspun with Turkish Tryst underneath by Turkoman was a very classy horse, and I think he was doing it, his Triple Crown work, on class. And you know, they rolled him back to the King's Bishop where he ran a monster against First Defense dueling down the stretch. But he's proven, you know, he does get two-turn horses. There's no doubt about it. But a mile and a quarter, I still think might be a little bit far. On the dam side, certainly having a Curlin mare or dam is would consider to be a good thing. These Sea Gardens only produced a couple of horses, one of them being Built, and you don't get much from Navy Gardens either. But if you go back to Marley Vale, who was a hell of a horse in her own right, but she produced Indian Vale, who was a very good two-turn performer. So there is some stamina in the profile, but unfortunately the running lines really aren't bearing out that a mile and a quarter is necessarily what this horse wants, despite the really good dosage index of 2.38 and a very good genetic strength value score. But that's not a surprise when you got Hardspun in the mix coming from Danzig, and you see and Northern Dancer. I mean, those are two of the highest genetic strength value scores there are. So in any event, the pedigree is kind of, you know, to me, because of Sea Garden, is a little iffy, but you look at the Conduit mare profile, and you do have some good stamina influences. The pedigree is skewed more towards stamina. The triads as well. So it's there. We're just not seeing it necessarily in the running lines, which we'll look at now. And you see Won the Gun Runner like a good horse. And this is where we, you know, kind of got a little excited about Built, because he wasn't necessarily a horse who wanted the lead, but he did what a good horse is supposed to in a race like that, and just go to the lead and dominate. You see the LeCompte ran a very good race, but that was troubling because Disco Time was about 9 wide in that race, and really, Built, there was no excuse for him not to win the race. So what really is troubling is look at those late fractions as the distances are getting longer. You start with the Gun Runner with nice 106, but he had a nice, easy, uncontested lead. And you see the 76 and 80 off, you know, early on, and he wasn't challenged. It's easy to get a mile and 16th. But then you see the LeCompte, a drop, again, a good race, but the pedigree or the running lines not dissipating as the pace. He has to do a little more running on the front end. Once again, in the Risen Star, same thing. Has to run a little bit more on the front end with a quick pace. Suffers in the late fraction. And then finally in the Louisiana Derby, he had to run awful quick, and he just didn't have anything left. So what I've been saying about this horse all along is, I think, you know, after pretty much the Risen Star, we knew what he was. You know, I mean, I think it's more he's just a little outclassed. He's a nice horse. I mean, he's competitive. You know, he tries hard. He runs to run his race, but as the distances are getting longer, he's just not staying up with the others. And you know, from that, there's really one conclusion you can make, is that the Derby's just not for him. So we take our look at first take. He's a competitor. he tries hard every race, God bless him, but he just doesn't have it. His running style is really going to hurt him in the Derby, particularly if he's carried wide, because I just don't think he'll have anything left. Class, I think it's more he's just kind of getting outclassed as these distances are getting longer. I don't think it's the compete level. And the top end, obviously, if you're not going to get the distance, you're not going to be able to run a speed figure commensurate with a horse to win the 1.25 mile Kentucky Derby. So in sum, I don't like Built. I will not use him. And in all honesty, he's a horse who almost is more of a candidate to finish last than he is to finish first. And I'm sorry to say that because he is a really nice horse. But Pat De Mile, I'd much rather see him there. Where I think he'd have a really good chance because of his compete level. So there we are. We finished with our Derby Contender profiles. I'll throw one more in if we have another defection with Render Judgment or Neo Equos. But right now, that's the 20 we have. And I think that we're ready to get into our elements of handicapping, which we're going to start later this week. We will begin with form, then we'll go to class, then we'll do speed, and finally pace, and then we'll put it all together. We're going to try to get it done before the post draw, but that might be a bit of a tall order given my schedule, so I'll just alert you to that in advance. But you will have it all prior to the Derby, and once we've wrapped up our selections, how we assess the Derby. We'll do a final posting with betting strategy and all that, and we'll do the full card for the Kentucky Derby. We'll have selections, value plays, sequences, all that good stuff, and we'll get into our Oaks coverage as well. So whole lot of content coming. Going to be very busy. So be patient, but I'll get them there as fast as I can. Certainly, if you do like content like this, please like and subscribe. And again, thanks so much to all of you who continue to grow our community and keep those comments coming. Thanks so much for those of you who told me about the jockey for Luxor Cafe. I appreciate it. I don't know much about that guy, but the Derby is a... to run in the States, you picked a hell of a race to start your career. So we'll see how he does with Luxor Cafe. So that's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.